welcome to a new episode of the Mystical Journey. Today is the first episode of recap. We have two coming up, so it's with all the videos that we did this year. We only have 3 shows left in 2021, and then we'll be taking a bit of a break for the winter and starting again at the spring equinox. So we're going to go through all the shows we had, like the first 8 shows, I think, with our first guests. And we're going to show you clips. And the first one, for those who have watched, is Teofilo Ruiz. Teo is a professor at UCLA, specialized in medieval history. Very interesting. So let's watch Teo.
The witch craze is a very interesting historical phenomenon, a horrid one. Probably close to 100,000 people, mostly elderly women, were killed between 1486 and the 1660s, 1670s, which in a world that does not have the technology for large executions of people is quite a significant number of people who have been killed in this period. One of the things is that one of the arguments for the emergence of the witch craze, the persecution of witches. There have always been witches, but they are not being persecuted in the same fashion. And they're certainly not being massively persecuted and executed. One of the things is that in the late 15th century, the church, Christianity, Catholicism, comes face to face with the culture of the mountains. What I mean to say is that the church is a civilization of the plains, of the cities. But in the great wave of attempts to spread Christianity into areas that have been only half Christianized, missionaries, Dominicans and Franciscans, go out into mountain regions. And when they get there, they encounter and they discover all these practices, which are essentially practices that tie these societies to a pre-Christian past, to a kind of prehistoric agricultural cults, most of which are related to questions of fertility, the fertility of the soil, and so on. These missionaries don't know what to do with this. This is so bizarre. There is a wonderful book about this by Carlo Ginzburg called Night Battles in English, but in Italian, Il Benandanti, which talks about how the survival of all these pre-Christian beliefs, these agricultural cults. So these missionaries encounter all these things, and they return to Rome, and they write a book called the Malleus Maleficarum, the Hammer of the Witches, which is divided into 3 parts. The first part is, how do you recognize a witch? How do you deal with them judicially in the courts? How do you essentially find them guilty? And third, how you can protect yourself from the wiles of witches. Now, one of the things about this book, which is really a riot, is that the 2 writers, who are Jacob Sprenger and Heinrich Kramer, is that they are profoundly misogynist. That it is always, essentially one of the things that it reflects is the fear of women and the fear of women in terms of sexuality. So a good number of the stories are about witches being able to make by magic your organs disappear, and this or make you impotent. And this goes back to Aquinas. It's a slow developing of a anti-witch discourse. But this is not the only explanation. The end of the Middle Ages is also a tremendously difficult period, because the basic structure of medieval society was a village community, and it begins to be essentially destroyed and transformed at the end of the 15th century by the rise of well-to-do farmers as opposed to poor farmers. So the number of people who are poor begins to grow exponentially by the end of the 15th century. You also have the discovery of America. And in 1521, the breakdown of Christendom between Protestants and Catholics. Now, I have to say to you that Catholics and Protestants, both of them, deal with witches in the same fashion, in the same harsh fashion. But the greatest attacks on women who were accused of being witches occur mostly in the north of Europe, not in the south, not in. And the religious wars is one of these kind of things that trigger a great deal of the attacks against women. Now, all these women are accused of many things. They are usually women who live without the control of a man. They live by themselves. They don't live with their families. They live on the edges of towns. They collect herbs. They do things such as deliver babies, which is why essentially some of the people who get it in the neck are the women who deliver babies. They are accused of killing the babies and taking them to extinction. But they also are engaged in healing. To complicate matters even more, this is precisely the period in which the medical profession begins to become, so we say, professionalized. And the women are competitors on the art of healing. They don't go to the universities, they don't take courses, they just know how to use certain herbs. This has a long, long life, because I remember as a child how certain elderly women in my hometown were able to cure you of such things as belly aches, or put some kind of plants. Rosemary is a very common one, or make you smell certain things. And the way they work and operated into 10 years ago, because I think and of course in other parts of the world to this very day, they operated as a kind of alternate form of medicine. And we now have it again in our society, right? We have alternative medicine, which is natural medicine as opposed to drug-induced.
No, so that's what I was saying. As I think it brings back memories, because that episode was a while ago, but I thought Teo was like really fascinated, and his knowledge was just incredible.
Yeah, and I have to say that it was one of the hardest episodes to find like something to be able to cut it, because everything he says is so fascinating, and then he goes on into the same subject, and you don't want to lose the thread.
Yeah, no, he was such a great, I mean, he's just, yeah, I mean, I would watch that episode again, because just seeing that little section reminds me of how much he was actually saying, and
much knowledge,
how much I learned from just listening to what he had to say. So yeah, that was for the witch craze.
Yes, exactly. And so now, did you see who we have next? Second episode.
I didn't look.
Béatrice Robin-Brézina.
Oh yeah, Béatrice. She's amazing too.
Yeah.
Yeah, astrologer, also full of knowledge, studying. She studied so many different things in her life, and she traveled a lot, and she's just incredible.
Yeah. So here it's going to be in French, but with subtitles.
Il y a souvent ça.
Est-ce que vous pensez qu'il y a une évolution? Enfin, j'imagine qu'il y a une certaine évolution, mais est-ce qu'on est déjà qui on est, donc naître, qui on est personnellement, ou est-ce et donc on doit se trouver, ou est-ce qu'il y a une certaine évolution qui se passe dans la vie qui fait que peut-être au début de notre vie, on est très bien dans un métier, et finalement l'évolution nous amène à autre chose, ou est-ce que l'autre chose était toute déjà là et que
on la découvre après.
Voilà.
Eh bien, les deux. C'est-à-dire que la carte du ciel, que j'appelle le mandala, la spirale de vie, comme on veut, eh bien, contient tout. C'est comme le petit point quand on a le glyphe du soleil, le symbole du soleil, c'est un petit point et avec un cercle. Et le petit point contient tout. Donc, notre thème contient tout. Et on peut en faire, comme je le dis, j'avais comparé qu'un thème pourrait être comme une partition de musique avec des petites notes. Et on peut faire, avec ces notes, faire grincer et en faire une cacophonie, ou tellement travailler qu'on fait une mélodie magnifique. Je pourrais dire cela, mais je réponds aussi à votre question, Coralie, c'est que tout dépend sur quel plan on se place. Pour moi, on a des parents terrestres et on a un circuit, on va dire, j'ai pas dit prédestiné, mais avec une certaine destinée. On va dire ça, pas avec une certaine destinée. Si on dit que l'on a une âme et que l'on est aussi en connexion avec l'univers, avec quelque chose de supérieur, on pourrait presque dire que notre âme vient choisir cette expérience pour pouvoir évoluer. Ce que je serais plus à dire aujourd'hui qu'il y a 40 ans. Donc, oui, le chemin de vie, cette carte routière que l'on a, va nous proposer quelque chose. Mais c'est pour cela que prendre conscience de son thème, de sa carte du ciel, nous permet de saisir toutes les subtilités, toutes les ombres et les lumières. Mais une fois qu'on connaît les choses, on peut mieux, on dit un homme averti en vaut deux, on peut mieux affronter les choses. Et c'est là aussi où le chemin spirituel, énergétique, philosophique, qui nous met sur un autre plan de conscience, va faire que nous n'allons pas chaque année retrouver le même automne, le même hiver, le même printemps, le même été, mais que nous allons peut-être accueillir le nouveau printemps avec toute l'expérience des autres printemps et nous donner quelque chose de supérieur. Donc, oui et non à votre question, c'est qu'il y a, si on est né de race blanche ou si on est né femme, si on est né en 1970 ou si on est aujourd'hui, le destin ou la route va être différente. C'est comme si vous prenez votre route et que vous allez à Los Angeles ou à San Francisco, c'est pas la même chose. Vous n'allez pas trouver les mêmes expériences. Et c'est ça, c'est-à-dire que dans le thème, on a des indications, mais comme je dis, essayons de prendre le meilleur de ce qui a été. Et c'est pour ça que le thème est vivant. Le thème est vivant parce qu'il bouge. Déjà quelques minutes après la naissance, eh bien, il n'est déjà plus de la même manière. Mais on est tous, par rapport au même ADN, aux mêmes empreintes digitales, groupe sanguin, on va le rester. Mais on va évoluer. Et c'est justement par le fait d'être nourri par toutes ces expériences que l'on va évoluer dans cette spirale. C'est pour ça que je parle de spirale et pas de cercle. On n'est pas un poisson rouge dans un bocal, on est quelque chose qui évolue. Et cette évolution fait que ce que l'on a comme expérience, c'est un peu comme un trampoline pour pouvoir aller vers autre chose.
So that was Béatrice Brézina.
I know, and she was that's another example of a woman that was so fascinating. That shared so much information on that episode that I really recommend watching it.
And I think what's really interesting is that so there is kind of a map of the sky as she explains, but you can kind of play with it with what you want to do. I mean, she said, you know, there's a certain fate, but you know, it's you can really play with it when you have all that knowledge. It actually helps you rather than prevents you.
Yeah, and I think because she, I mean, she includes astrology, and she had also knowledge of other modalities that she does, I think, when she goes and does chart for people. But like she said, it's not a circle, it's a spiral, so it's always evolving. And because the chart is alive, and I really like that idea, because it just you can have certain tendencies or influences or inclinations, but then you do whatever, you follow your path, but you can do whatever you want with what you have. So, but anyway, it was a great episode. I just enjoyed our conversation with Béatrice so much. Yeah. I felt a little smarter after watching it. Yeah. it's just great when you learn so much from somebody.
I agree. So then the third guest was David Shorter, also professor at UCLA, but also a healer. So we had a very interesting discussion with him coming up.
I'm thankful to my curiosity, like to trying to look for other, not other paths, other knowledges, other wisdoms, or other ways of understanding things besides the you know, academic way that's like, but not everybody has, yeah, it takes confidence. I guess it's true. It takes like, okay, I'm in my power and I can, you know, take that from them, but take that from them too, and then get a little bit of that and find out my own way of being, of, you know, and everybody's unique too. So it's kind of like what might be a true for you might not be true for somebody else, but then there's also universal truth. So it's kind of like,
well, I love the way you said that, because you said take from here and there, because I never want to say that what I'm purporting about, you might want to say non-object oriented science is the only way. I'm not even saying it's the alternative.
Yeah.
I think it needs to be complementary. It needs to be on the table. And the problem is that we've created an education system, particularly inside colonial societies, that have essentially pushed off the table art and play and recess. And so then the only place where you literally have imagination and creativity is in some ways athletics, which is really strange. But you can see why so many really smart kids who are told they're not smart should actually go to athletics or sports, when the reality is they're really smart in issues of ingenuity. But the STEM process of, I'm going to tell you what to say and then you say it back to me on a timed test, that doesn't actually allow for creativity. So I'm working on a piece right now about the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, in which what I'm doing is I'm looking historically at why they're using the word intelligence the way they are. And so I'm in conversation with a teacher and a friend of mine named Donna Haraway. And we were just talking this week about how dog intelligence was always rated about how well a dog obeyed a master. How is that intelligence? That's not intelligence. The dog who sort of like goes to the dog park and flips over and lets the other dog sniff its butt so that it could just get over that whole power thing and then start playing, that's the smarter dog. That's the dog that figured out how to have joy in its day. You know what I mean? So if we're going to rule out play and creativity, we're not really measuring intelligence. We're measuring obedience.
Yeah.
And that's sad. That's why we have a society that is waiting for a celebrity or a politician to tell them how to think or vote or care.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I love that last part about the dog and the dark part being intelligent versus the dog that obeys, and people say he's smart because he learned to obey his master. But there's so much more also in that episode that I can remember. I really enjoyed this conversation with David too. It's just
it has so much knowledge on so many different kinds of subjects and so fascinating. But it's true that the measure of intelligence doesn't really make any sense the way in schools generally.
Exactly. You know, talking about creativity and open-mindedness.
So now let's see our next clip.
Some of our black belts are so good. Like, many years ago, I backpacked through Asia, and when I was in Nepal, I was in the mountains, and I hear, you know, the donkey train coming, and so I'm like, oh my God, because these paths are so small, and you look down and it's 20,000 feet down one side and a cliff going up on the other. And so you have to find like a crevice to get into so that you can be flat, so that the donkey train can go by. But what I found was so amazing was, you know, all the supplies go by, and then you have these Nepalese and Tibetans that are carrying like 400 pounds on their back. Yeah. And again, 20,000 feet down one side, the path is like this wide. And they have this load on their back, but when I was watching them go by, they were almost in a trance.
Yeah.
so that they didn't have any anxiety about the 20,000 feet or where they, and that's what I see in some of the black belt students, where they're almost in such a trance when they do their forms. It's such a deep kind of meditative state that I am just floored by them. And so, again, so honored to see that process. And even when we spar, you know, I'm sure that you've had this experience where you're on the highway and you know that car right there is going to pull in front of you. And they never put the blinker on, right? But you know they're going to do it. Well, that's because you're so relaxed driving that your antennas are up, right? And you know what they're doing. Well, I see that in our sparring class too, that a lot of our students get so good when they spar that their comfort zone is really great within the chaos, right? They're that center of chaos, so that they're so focused and they're so dropped in that they can feel what their opponent's going to do. And I think that is the coolest. It's the coolest thing for us to watch, but it's amazing when they experience it. Like the connections that they make when they actually experience that is so exciting. Because they're going to take that and they're going to use it everywhere else. So when things get crazy in their life, they're going to be that calm in the center of the storm.
Yeah, another fascinating episode. I don't think I'm going to say anything bad about any of the episodes because we learned so much from each person on many different subjects. But this was really incredible, talking about martial arts and the power of focus, and we talked about power of manifestation, meditation, stillness.
Because I've sat and watched their classes, you know, as Luca was growing up, and it's just so inspiring because they repeat these messages always to the adults, but to the kids also. So imagine being a kid and already learning all these knowledges. Amazing.
The law of life, basically, like how to live your life and be successful at it. Because, you know, with focus and intention, you can really, you know, become, and then these kids, they become strong, and they become strong not just physically but mentally, spiritually. It was really inspiring. So, on to the next one.
And the next one is Dr. Garcia, which, you know, I was introduced to with Laura and Maria, who have been going to see him for years. So let's listen to him.
I like to help people bring out the most in their potential, their intuition. I want their intuition to be expanded. We all have it, we all came with it. Why don't we allow it to blossom? But not only be intuitive, but be able to fix what you say. That's the key. You got to be able to harmonize. I say the word harmonize, shift, correct, change what you see. And that's what I teach in my course. So I've been thankful, I've been blessed at being able to be of service. And in this pandemic era, I thank God I'm one of the, what's it called, essential workers.
So you can help people.
Really well.
One of the things
Shortcuts.
that, because I did a workshop with you, and one of the things that I really struggled with, and that's, it's a whole chapter in your book, is stop thinking and start feeling. And I think that must be what people, what the most common problem, I imagine, because you're just overthinking what you're feeling. You're like, maybe I'm not feeling this, you know, I should be saying this.
Exactly. In the book I talk about you have to get in touch with the energy of the field. Feel the energy. Not get in touch with your feelings. Oh, I'm happy, I'm sad. No. I want you to be neutral. I have no issues with if I fix that guy's dog or your cat or my cat or whatever. I don't care. I'm just gonna do it. And if it goes well, good. If it doesn't go well, that's fine too. So when I say stop thinking, it's not easy. I mean, you're right. I can't put my brain off. I can't turn it off. So think of whatever you want to work on and then get out of the way, and then test energy. If I want to work on the 6 basic, like money, finance, relationship, occupation, career, future, okay, which one do I need right now? Money, finance, relationship. Okay, I got an entry with relationship. So I'm not going to think, okay, what relationship? One of my sisters, my brother, my friends, who? Could be anybody. And then I allow the energy to take me there. So I can think and then get out of the way. I can say, family? No, friends. See, my body went like that, to friends. What friend? Not another friend. A friend I don't even know yet, perhaps in the future. So I'm just correcting the energy before I get there. If I'm going to make a deal with someone, I'm going to be harmonized before I go there. I want to make sure it's a winning situation for everybody involved. I don't want to take advantage of the situation because that's not fair. You have to be equal on both sides. You have to work out.
Yeah, so Dr. Garcia is an incredible human, a healer, energy worker. We were talking about his book and also his practice. So yeah, lots of information in that episode. I think every of our episodes have tons of information. But yeah.
And one of his big words is neutrality, always, right? So whenever...
Yeah, he's always talking about stay neutral.
Yeah.
You know, neutral.
If some information comes to you, just stay neutral and, you know, to take it in.
Yeah.
But what I remember one thing that he said during the interview that was funny, because we're talking about doing remote sessions, and he was saying, we're talking about if he needed a picture or something, and he said, well, you know, maybe I need a picture from you from 20 minutes from now, so in the future. And that's, I mean, that's the kind of person he is. He just, there's no, I mean, his mind just is so expanded.
Yeah.
That's, yeah, he's, I mean, he always puts me in a good mood.
Yeah, me too. I every time I talk to him, or even when I have a session with him, it's always uplifting for sure.
Mm-hmm. So the next is combo medicine, your friend.
Yeah, Taylor.
Mm-hmm. So let's watch.
So what's cool about combo is that this medicine is a somatic medicine versus a psychedelic. And so when you're working with the somatic body and all of the things that potentially get trapped in the soma, then you are actually able to unwind patterns that have been going on in there for quite a long time. And these patterns could be health patterns, they could be emotional patterns, tics, addictions, PTSD, all kinds of different things. I work with cancer patients, I work with Lyme patients, I work with autoimmune, I work with all kinds of different conditions, from like the most physical to the deepest emotional.
When somebody comes, let's say somebody comes to you and they want to do combo, and do you inquire first about what is going on with them, and then do you have suggestions from that? Because I know I don't know much about it. I know I'm interested in doing it at some point. But I know there's different points that you put the medicine. Is that according to whatever people have going on in their lives or their bodies? Or
Yes.
That's interesting.
So I work with the Chinese meridian acupuncture points.
Okay.
Yeah. And I always do a phone consultation to just decide if this person is the right fit for me.
Yeah, and if they're ready too, because I think some people get like maybe, you know, and then they're not really ready.
Absolutely.
I hear it can be pretty intense.
Sure.
Yeah.
It can be everything.
Yeah.
It can be
You just have to be open to whatever.
Yeah, it can be ecstatic and it can be really challenging.
Because you do it on yourself too, I see.
I do.
Yeah, that was Taylor.
Yeah, Taylor's been a good friend of mine for a few years, and when I kind of you know, I haven't seen her through her whole journey to learning combo medicine and now teaching others how to be holding combo medicine to others. But she does many things. But we specifically talked about combo medicine on this, and I'm still fascinated by it, and I'm still very curious to try it someday.
Yeah.
It has to be the right time, because obviously you need a lot of time to prep and be there and receive the medicine, and then kind of go through it. And it was really interesting, and it was great learning about it, and her journey too, learning about how she experienced it from the first time, and how she healed a lot of things. I remember that she said she was exposed to black mold and had this lingering cough, and combo medicine kind of healed that, but many other things too.
Yeah, we'll do an episode when we try to do the combo.
Yeah.
One of these days. All right, so next one is Aline. And Aline does flower essence mainly, but also a lot of different things too.
Yeah, healing.
That's what we talked about in that episode.
The flower essence, they being a vibrational healing, they're gonna act in our aura, okay, our energetic body, right? So and that's where the chakras are. So they help to balance and harmonize the chakras, and all the chakras are connected with the main glands of the body. So everything, like when we have like a physical issue in our body, whatever, back pain, something in your skin, that means that this was in your energetic body for a long time. So everything starts when you, like Dr. Joe Dispenza, when you change your energy, you change your life. So I'm so glad that now we are in this boom of energy healing. People are much more aware that how important it is to take care of waking up, not only of our food, our workout, but we gotta take care of our energy too, right? Because especially right now we're being bombarded with so much negativity. So anyway, so that's how I prepare the treatment. I figure out what kind of chakras we're gonna work, and then I prepare a custom treatment for my clients.
Yeah, so Aline also great. I mean, she prepares all kinds of tinctures and oils, and we talked about her preparing a perfume line specifically to unique to people's, like whoever wants it, their personality, and at the time the episode was filmed, she was working on that, and now I ran into her a month ago, and it's done. She's done it. And she gets herbs from Brazil, because that's where she's from, and she gets like specific things around the world actually for picking the plants that keep their energies. So yeah, it was great. And then you had one treatment from her, and I had a different treatment. I think you had like the crystals, right? You had the
it was amazing. It was amazing. And also what I loved, if you watch the episode, is you get to see her apothecary where she prepares everything, and she shows but the treatments were incredible.
Yeah, mine was incredible. It was really, I was feeling blissful for hours after the treatment, and mine was the chakra treatment with the oils that she makes. So anyway, next episode, it's Marcella, right?
Yes.
All right.
So sometimes, someone will come to me about, a love question or something. And really what we're doing is, it's not about the relationship per se, but it's about getting to the place where you're healed enough to have the relationship, or kind of going in and healing the broken links. And, I channel a lot, and sometimes I channel, it will be like a meditation or like it's a past life healing, because I do a lot of like healing within past life work, guiding them through the process. Also healing ancestral lineages, especially for people who feel like they're in the liminal space, like myself, people who feel like they don't belong to one path, because they come from many bloodlines. And it's really about empowering the person to find their whole self. I think that the thing that people should probably know the most is to really learn how to listen with their heart and not their head. And particularly when they're making decisions, I think one of the hardest things sometimes is making decisions that are for your best and highest when you are tuning in and tapping into all of the collective and personal energies of the people in your life and around you. Sometimes actually what I would say is learning how to make your choice out of love and not out of fear has been the biggest thing that's helped me. Like when I'm thinking about needing to do something in my life or making a choice, I have to really tune into, am I doing this out of love or am I doing it out of fear? And that can be those decisions can be the hardest, especially because sometimes we think we're doing something out of love, but we're actually doing it out of fear, whether we think we'll be rejected or that person won't be happy. And we think we're doing it out of love by sacrificing something, when really it would be in love for you to do the thing that your heart is saying that you should be doing. Because then you liberate other people to do the same.
Yes, so Marcella, I love that phrasing, like really acting, like thinking and acting and responding out of love, not out of fear, and really putting our thoughts, or how do you say it? How did she phrase it? I forgot, but like taking actions or decisions through the heart. Like really feeling it. Yeah.
No, that's for sure. That's true. Yeah, that was a great, that was the last bit of the interview, but the whole interview is very interesting. The first bit that you saw was 2 different clips. Was more towards the beginning, middle of the conversation, but it's worth listening to everything because she's such a fascinating person.
Yeah.
And so the next one is the last one for this first recap, and it's Fatima. She's French, but we all talked in English for this one because she lives in the States, and she invented a game called Play Your Life. So let's listen to her.
So you can have multiple ikigai, not only one. But yeah, everyone has an ikigai, but I would say that the very first one that we all have is just to play our life. That's the ikigai. That's the mission for everyone on earth. Play your life.
Yeah.
That's all we are asking you.
Yeah.
You're on earth, so play your life. Make the most of it. Don't care, as we say in the US, like you get what you get and you don't get upset. So don't, arrive at like the end of your life saying, yeah, I have some regrets, I could have done this and that. Yeah, but you didn't play your life. So this is the ikigai for everyone. And then obviously some people, they also have like a kind of a mission that it's not only about themselves, it's really about like the whole community. And also sometimes we also tend to undervalue an ikigai, like maybe if you are just taking care of your family, taking care of your husband, taking care of your, or if you're man, taking care of your spouse anyway, but taking care also of your kids, growing your own kids, being very present. This is an ikigai. It can be an ikigai too. But so it's not just about professional fulfillment.
Yeah.
This must be clear because sometimes we undervalue very, very simple things. But if you take good care of your kids, then you're gonna be part of their happiness, and you're gonna you're gonna bring into the world a very stable adult. So that's very important. It's a very important mission because we have a lot of psychopaths right now in the world. But it's all about because maybe they did not have a lot of love when they were kids, or they did not have attention. Because you have to go there and there, make money, and think more. So Ikigai, it's not only professional.
It's more like a life fulfillment.
Exactly.
So I know that you had experience firsthand on the first version of her game. After this episode was shot, I actually booked a session to try to play that game, and it was just amazing. So I'm going to leave it at that because what I experienced after was really amazing. It gets you to embody, like, it's with your card, and you choose to embody that person that you wish to be. And so
steps you need to take to be that person, and really put a lot of thought into her game. She's a coach, and I think also it came to her also as a sort of vision, and I think that makes it even more special.
I mean, that game is fascinating, and really it helped me tremendously. It made me evolve and grow in ways that I would probably not have if I didn't play the game, because it gives you some clarity, and also pushes you. She kind of pushed me at the end. Like, what are you gonna do to make this happen? And
ability.
Yes, exactly. And
but so she does that on her own too. Like, whenever they have a family decision to take, they play the game. So it's nice to know that she uses it not only on others but on herself too. So now we're going to close it up. Do you want to read the...
So I have this book called Moon Power, and it's about the lunar rituals. And it's so because we're entering the new moon is in Sagittarius. So this is what it says to do for the ritual. I'm going to just read it from there. So again, this is called Moon Power from Simone Butler. All right. New moon ritual, tree talk. Does it seem odd to have a conversation with a tree or a rock? The truth is that everything is alive and speaking to us all the time. If only we would listen. It's said that consciousness is entranced in rocks, sleeps in plants, dreams in animals, and awakens in humans. Native people have long sought guidance from the mineral kingdom. In ancient Native American practice called rock seeing, a seeker would enter a wild place and walk until she found a rock that called to her, and then sit and ask a question, reading the rock's surface like a puzzle. Perhaps a sheep would appear, telling her to peacefully accept the situation at hand rather than fight against it, or the shape of a pregnant belly might suggest that the matter is still gestating. So I encourage everybody to go in nature, find a rock, and ask questions and ask for guidance, and see what messages you might get. And that is it. That concludes our first
recap.
The first episode of recap. And we'll see you next time. Thank you so much.
Bye.